onto the line, you are executing those dishes for service. So chicken piccata is a pretty simple dish. So you take pasta, you reheat it. Today what we're going to do is make it caprese style. So we're going to add tomatoes and basil and garlic and shallots to really flavor up that pasta. And then going on top of that pasta is the piccata. You can make chicken piccata, you can do veal. Does anyone know what veal is? Veal is baby cow. So we normally use a baby cow for this dish because it's super tender, tastes really well. So you can use veal, you can use pork, you can use chicken, but the goal is to make sure that the chicken breast or the veal is pounded out nice and thin because we want to get it done quick. Because if you've ever cooked a large chicken breast, it could take upwards of like 15-20 minutes if you're really waiting on it, and so we just don't have that time. So my ingredients today, like I said, I have a pounded out chicken breast here. I have capers. Does anyone know what capers are? So capers are pickled flower buds. So before they flower, they're just the buds. Eventually they'll bloom, and then they'll fruit, and then you can also get a caper berry, which looks like a huge caper. So we're using the actual capers. They're salty, they're briny. People either love them or they hate them, but that's what we have. We also have shallots, which is like a fancy onion. We have garlic, butter, we have basil, white pepper and salt, tomatoes, and then I'm going to show you how to garnish your plate as well with these really pretty lemon crowns. They're pretty easy to make. Once you learn how to make them, they're pretty easy to replicate. So I'm going to start by getting my pans hot. So I'm going to turn on my stove and start warming up all my pans. So chefs, if you guys want to do the same thing, please do. So when you're on the sauteing line, things go pretty fast and furious. So you keep things usually at a medium to a medium high at all times because you're going through things pretty quickly. The only time you turn down the heat is if you're holding something temporarily before something else is ready. So I'm going to start with some, this is a blend oil. I don't use straight olive oil. Olive oil has too low of a smoke point. Does anyone know what a smoke point is? It's the temperature it hits when it starts to smoke. Oil can catch fire, and it doesn't taste very good when that happens, and then it's kind of dangerous. So don't get to that point ever, all right? So I use a blend. So this is an 80-20 blend. So this is olive oil and canola oil, and it's blended together to increase the smoke point on this oil. So I'm going to add a little bit to the pan because this is what I'm going to do for my noodles. And then I'm going to put in some garlic, about a tablespoon's worth. It's about to smell really good in here real quick. And I'm going to add my shallots. I'm going to give it a little half turn in the pan. And then I'm going to add in my cherry tomatoes. You can also use grape tomatoes. You can dice your tomatoes. Give that a little saute. Before your garlic and shallots get too dark, you're going to add in your noodles. And to prevent the burning and to also heat up my noodles, I'm also going to add a little bit of chicken stock. So this is going to do its thing for the moment. I don't have to do much to it because it just needs to heat back up so that I can plate it. The noodles are already par cooked. That's what we do in a lot of restaurants because we don't have time to wait for a pasta to cook all the way through and then serve it, make it, and then send it out to you at your table. So I'm going to reduce the temperature on that a little bit so that it starts to warm up. So here I have chiffonaded basil. So chiffonaded basil is like a ribbon style cut for heavy leafy herbs. You can do it to things like spinach, arugula, You can do it to your basil. So this is what basil normally looks like with its stem still attached. So you can see like all these funky leaves growing off of this. I'm going to pull some off of the stem.
Hey, Sam, I tried one, but spinach.
Yeah, I love spinach. I actually like arugula better. Arugula has this nice peppery taste to it, and I really enjoy that. When you chiffonade basil, you're going to want to take your bigger leaves and put them at the bottom, and then you're going to wrap your smaller leaves inside. I left some of the stems attached, and you'll see why in a minute. So I'm going to put this all in the middle, and then I'm going to roll it like a burrito. So when I have it, I have this kind of like little tubular shaped basil, and then I'm going to go in with my knife, okay? When you hold a knife, you need to hold it not like this, not with your thumb on top, but you need to hold it here, pinch it with those two fingers, and then grip the knife.
So you don't need to cut yourself?
You can't cut yourself this way. There's no way. Your fingers aren't anywhere close to that blade, okay? You can cut other people, don't do that, okay? So pinch and hold. This will give you the most articulation with your hand, okay? And then at an angle, you're going to go through and you're going to cut the leaf into these ribbons. These can be big, small, medium, whatever size. The typical chiffonade shape is smaller ribbon shapes. So the reason I leave some of the stems on is so that I don't have to go all the way to the end, and I can just get rid of those stems, and then I have fresh basil. So, yeah. So I'm going to add the fresh basil into this pasta. You don't want to add it too soon because you don't want it to darken and then diminish inside your dish. So next I'm going to go and I'm going to start my chicken breast, okay? So I'm going to put oil in, and I'm going to put a good amount of oil in because I have to brown and encapsulate my chicken breast. So we have a good amount of oil in there. Pasta's still doing its thing over here. So here I have a bowl of flour that I have my chicken breast dredged in. I'm going to shake off excess flour because I don't want too much excess flour. And then I'm going to put it in my pan. After that, please change your gloves because you just touched a raw item and you do not want to cross-contaminate things. Because it's completely raw, so you don't want to make anyone sick. All right, so here I have my pasta going. It's warming up. I still have liquid in the bottom of my pan, which is great because I'm just trying to heat the pasta all the way through. I slightly undercooked it so I don't overcook the pasta while I'm warming it back up to its previous state. All right, and then over here, this is where things start to increase in speed. So my pasta is minding its business over here. My chicken breast on one side is golden brown, which is great. You don't want to make it too dark because your sauce is blonde. And so if you get your chicken breast too dark, it will turn your sauce a brownish color, and that's not the goal of your piccata sauce. Yeah, just a nice light brown, especially around the edges, is great. And I'm just going to wait for my other side to get brown. Each side maybe has 2 minutes on it. You're not going to fully cook this chicken breast because it's going to finish cooking in the sauce you're about to make with the same pan you just seared your chicken in. So as you can see, there's golden brown on this side as well. So that's when I'm going to take my chicken breast out. I'm going to put it on a plate or another pan opposite, And then I'm gonna start adding things to this pan. So I'm gonna start with some butter, some whole cold butter. And I'm gonna start melting that down. I'm gonna put in my garlic, probably a good tablespoon worth. I'm gonna add in my shallots, about the same. And then I'm gonna add in my capers. And you can add as much or as little as you'd like when you're making it. I love capers, so I like to go a little heavy on it. And then I'm gonna melt this until the butter is completely melted, and then I'm gonna start adding some flour in to make a roux. Does anyone know what a roux is?
It's something that you put chicken.
You can. So roux is a thickening agent. Okay, it's made with equal parts fat and flour. And what we're gonna do is add enough flour to encapsulate the fat so that you don't have a sauce that has oil pooling on the top of your dish. You're gonna get it till it starts to bubble and kind of look a little bit like applesauce. That is your goal. Then we're gonna deglaze this pan, and we're gonna deglaze it with white wine. And then we're gonna glaze it with lemon juice. It is? That's amazing. I really enjoy fresh squeezed lemon juice. I don't like the stuff that comes out of like the bottle. Have you ever had the difference between a fresh squeeze and the bottle one? There's a big difference. So now I'm gonna reduce this until it looks like applesauce again. And after it gets that stage, I'm gonna add in some chicken stock, and I'm gonna add more than you think because it's gonna reduce down.
Cooking is a big deal, right?
So add in the chicken stock. I'm gonna stir in and make sure that my roux is incorporated and all those mix-ins are incorporated. And then while this heats back up, I'm gonna add my chicken breast back in to finish cooking all the way through. I'm adding a little bit more chicken stock because my roux was so thick, it was making it, I wanted it a little bit thinner so it has more time to cook down. To that, I'm gonna add in some kosher salt. A lot of home cooks don't end up cooking with kosher salt, but this is what we use in our industry full time. We don't use iodized salt or table salt, except at the table. And then we're gonna add white pepper. And we use white pepper instead of the black pepper because it's a blonde sauce and you don't want to disrupt the color.
Which means you'll have to add a little pinch of it too, and a little pinch of, what do you call it again, pepper?
Yes. And white pepper is extremely more potent than black pepper, so a little bit goes a long way. All right, so this is doing its thing. This is finishing heating up. So this dish is almost done. So to plate, to make a lemon crown, you have your full lemon and a paring knife. So what you're gonna do is take this paring knife and this lemon and you're gonna draw little mountains up and down into the middle of your lemon. These little mountains can be as big or as little as you want. So if you want a super like tight crown, then you just do small mountains. And then you just go all the way around the lemon until you're done and meet back up at your original spot. And then you get these little crowns that you can garnish your plate with. So now that this chicken and sauce is almost done, I'm gonna plate my pasta first. So when you're plating pasta, especially for a high-end dish, you're gonna wanna centralize your pasta. You wanna go for height and not have it spread across the plate so much. So take it, kind of twirl it on the plate a little bit. You're gonna add some tomatoes and basil as you go to try to garnish the plate so it has as much color as possible. A typical portion is going to be about 7 ounces, so obviously here I have a little bit more than usual. And then I'm going to check here on my chicken breast and my sauce. It's a good sauce-like consistency. The goal is to coat the back of your spoon so that when you run your finger down it, that it stays in place. But you don't want it too thick that it looks like gravy. So at this point, I'm stopping. I'm going to pull out my chicken breast to garnish my plate. And then I'm going to put some of this sauce here on my piccata and let it start to run down. You don't want to flood the plate, but you do want to add enough sauce where it flavors not only your chicken, but also the pasta. From there, you can add your lemon as a garnish. And then you could also garnish with some more of your chiffonaded basil.
I used to love basil as a plant that grows in the ocean.
We clean up our plates and then we send it out to our guests. And that's how you make a glorious chicken piccata. Because we just cooked it, so it's nice and fresh and hot. Thanks, guys. Thank you, I appreciate it.